You have 12 days left. 12 days to stop lying to yourself about January. 12 days to break the pattern you've been running for years. You keep saying next year will be different, but next year always becomes this year, and this year always becomes last year, and nothing changes because you don't change. You move, but you're not going anywhere. You're busy, but you're empty. You're surrounded, but you're alone. And somewhere deep inside, you know it. You feel it every night when the noise stops and you're left with yourself. That's when the truth comes. That's when you realize you've been running from the same things for so long that you've forgotten what you're even running toward. You don't know your direction anymore. You used to have dreams, clear ones, but now they're buried under expectations, opinions, and the weight of trying to be everything to everyone. You seek approval like it's oxygen. You change your shape depending on the room you're in. You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you're breaking. You perform when you should be healing. And the saddest part, you've done it so long you don't even know who you are when no one's watching. You've built a life that looks right but feels wrong. You've chased good things while missing the right things. And now the year's ending and you're standing in the same place you were last December, making the same promises, hoping this time will be different. But hope without change is just a wish. And you've been wishing too long. You've been waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But perfection is a prison. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you small. It whispers that you're not ready yet, that you need more time, more clarity, more confidence. So you wait. And while you wait, days turn into months. Months turn into years. And the life you were supposed to live stays locked inside you. Unborn, unlived, unseen. You're afraid of being alone because being alone means facing what you've been avoiding. The rejection you never processed. The wounds you covered but never healed. The identity you lost somewhere between who you were and who they needed you to be. You've been so busy surviving that you forgot you were made to thrive. You've been so focused on fitting in that you forgot you were made to stand out. And now you're exhausted. Not just tired, exhausted. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The kind that comes from living out of alignment with your soul. You feel it, don't you? That emptiness, that confusion, that voice inside asking, is this it? Is this all there is? You've achieved things. You've checked boxes. You've made people proud, but you're not proud. Because deep down, you know you're living someone else's version of your life. You know you're hiding. You know you're playing it safe. You know you're settling. And the year's almost over, and if you don't change now, you'll carry this same weight into the next one. The first thing you must change before this year ends is your relationship with silence. You're afraid of it. You fill every gap with noise, with people, with distractions, because silence forces you to hear the truth. But here's what you don't understand. Silence is not your enemy. Silence is where you become. A seed doesn't apologize for being buried. It doesn't panic in the darkness. It doesn't question why it can't see the sun yet. It just grows quietly, slowly, invisibly, roots reaching deeper than anyone can see. And one day, without announcement, it breaks through the soil. Not because it was ready, but because the darkness prepared it. You think isolation is punishment? But what if it's preparation? What if the reason you feel alone right now is because God, the universe, life itself is removing the voices that were drowning out your own? You've been listening to everyone except yourself. You've been seeking answers everywhere except within. And now, in the silence, you're uncomfortable because you've forgotten how to hear your own soul speak. Change your relationship with silence. Stop running from it. Stop filling it. Sit in it. Let it teach you. Let it reveal what you've been covering with noise. The forest doesn't grow loud. The ocean doesn't announce its depth. The stars don't shout to shine, and neither do you. Your greatest growth will happen when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when no one even knows you're working. This is where giants are made. In the quiet, in the unseen, in the unnoticed. So stop performing your process. Stop documenting every step. Stop needing witnesses to validate your transformation. Grow in the dark. Trust the dark. Because what's being built in you right now is too sacred for spectators. The second thing you must change is your addiction to approval. You are exhausting yourself trying to be loved by people who don't even know themselves. You're twisting yourself into shapes that don't fit your soul just to hear a good job from mouths that will forget you tomorrow. A lion does not ask permission to roar. A lion does not survey the herd before it hunts. A lion does not shrink itself to make zebras comfortable. It is what it is, unapologetically, powerfully, naturally, and you are not a lion because someone crowned you. You're a lion because that's how you were made, but you've been living like prey, running, hiding, freezing when you should be moving, seeking safety in the opinions of people who were never meant to define you. Listen carefully. Your manufacturer knows your design better than your critics know your flaws. The one who made you didn't ask for suggestions, didn't send out a survey, didn't need feedback. You were intentional, specific, purposed. And every time you abandon yourself to chase someone's approval, you insult your creator. You say, what you made isn't enough. I need them to finish me. But they can't finish you. They don't have the blueprint. They don't know your capacity. They don't see your destiny. They only see what you show them. And you've been showing them a version of yourself that's small enough not to threaten them, safe enough not to challenge them, dim enough not to outshine them, and it's killing you. Stop performing for applause that won't matter in 5 years. Stop editing yourself for people who won't be in your life in 5 months. Stop giving your power to anyone who didn't give you your purpose. You don't need their yes to move. You don't need their approval to rise. You don't need their permission to become, change this now, before the year ends. Or you'll spend another year begging for validation from people who are just as lost as you are. The third thing you must change is your definition of progress. You think progress is movement, but movement without direction is just wandering. You busy? Yes. You moving? Yes. But where you going? A hamster on a wheel is moving too, but it never leaves the cage. You've been confusing activity with advancement. You've been measuring your worth by how exhausted you are instead of how aligned you are. You collapse into bed every night thinking, at least I did something, but you wake up every morning asking, why does nothing feel different? Because you're moving in circles. Because you're chasing good instead of waiting for right. Good is the enemy of right. Good feels productive. Good looks impressive. Good gets likes and comments and congratulations. But good can still be the wrong direction. And you can be excellent at the wrong thing and still end up lost. There's a craftsman who spends hours sharpening a blade. To the untrained eye, he's wasting time. The blade isn't cutting anything. It's just being scraped, angled, tested, scraped again. But the craftsman knows something you don't. He knows that a dull blade with force creates damage. But a sharp blade with precision creates mastery. So he doesn't rush the sharpening. He doesn't skip the process. He understands that what looks like delay is actually preparation. What looks like stillness is actually strengthening. You need to sharpen before you swing. You need to align before you accelerate. You need to know where you're going before you run full speed. Because speed in the wrong direction just gets you lost faster. Pottery doesn't become beautiful in comfort. It's thrown on a wheel, spun violently, pressed by hands that know exactly how much pressure to apply. Then it's placed in fire, extreme heat, unbearable heat. And in that heat, it hardens. It solidifies. It becomes what it was always meant to be. But if you pull it out too early because the heat feels wrong, it stays soft, breakable, useless. You're in the fire right now, and you think something's wrong. You think you should be past this by now. You think the pressure means you're failing. But what if the pressure is the process? What if the heat is the requirement? What if the very thing you're trying to escape is the exact thing that's forming you? Change your definition of progress. Stop measuring growth by noise and start measuring it by depth. Stop counting how many people know your name and start asking if you know who you are. Stop celebrating motion and start evaluating direction. Because this year is ending, and if you don't know where you're headed, next year will just be more of the same. more movement, more exhaustion, more emptiness. The fourth thing you must change is your refusal to heal. You're walking around with wounds you pretend don't exist. You're smiling through pain you won't acknowledge. You're building on top of cracks you won't repair. And you wonder why everything keeps collapsing. You can't build a future on an unhealed past. You can't grow fruit from a root that's rotting. You've been covering wounds instead of cleaning them, and now they're infected. Now they're affecting everything. Your relationships, your decisions, your peace, your purpose. You say you've moved on, but moving on and healing are not the same thing. Moving on is geography. Healing is surgery, and you need surgery. There was a lion cub born into a pride but separated too young. Raised among prey, it learned to graze, to fear, to run. It grew strong in body but weak in instinct. And one day, an older lion found it, and the older lion didn't coddle it, didn't comfort it. He roared loud, fierce, and the cub, for the first time, heard the sound it was made to make, felt the power it was born to carry, remembered the identity it had forgotten, but remembering wasn't enough. The cub had to unlearn the prey mentality, had to stop running from shadows, had to stop eating grass when it was made for the hunt. The process was painful, confusing, lonely, because the prey it used to live with couldn't come where it was going. And the lion it was becoming didn't fit where it had been. That's you. You the cub. You've been living beneath your design because you forgot who you are. And now you're hearing the roar again, the call, the reminder. But you're afraid to leave the familiar. You're afraid to let go of the wounds that have become your identity. You're afraid that if you heal, you won't know who you are anymore. But that's the point. The wounded you was never the real you. It was the surviving you, the coping you, the barely making it you. And it's time to let that version die so the real you can live. The fifth thing you must change before this year ends is where you find your identity. You've been borrowing it from your job, from your relationships, from your success, from your failures. You've been letting external things define internal truth. And every time those things shift, you crumble. Because you built yourself on sand, on things that move, on things that change, on things that were never meant to hold the weight of your worth. You are not what you do. You are not who loves you. You are not your bank account or your title or your past or your mistakes. You are what you were before any of that existed. And you'll still be that after all of it is gone. Stop outsourcing your identity. Stop letting people tell you who you are. Stop letting circumstances convince you of your value. You were made with intention, coded with purpose, embedded with gifts that don't require permission to activate. But you've been waiting to feel worthy, waiting to feel ready, waiting for someone to see you and tell you you're enough. But no one's coming. The validation you're waiting for has to come from you. The permission you're seeking has to come from you. The belief you're begging for has to come from you. Before I continue, answer one question honestly. How many years will you let pass before you become who you were created to be? How many Decembers will you stand in looking back at another year of almost, of maybes, of next times? How many versions of yourself will you bury before you finally let the real one live? If you're still listening, something inside you is waking up. Something that's been asleep too long. Something that's tired of waiting. And that something is your truth, your purpose, your soul. It's been whispering for years, but you've been too loud to hear it, too distracted, too afraid. But right now, in this moment, it's getting louder. And you have a choice. You can ignore it again, push it down again, tell it to wait again, or you can finally listen. You grow in silence. You heal in silence. You rise in silence. The world celebrates the harvest, but nobody sees the seed breaking open in the dirt. Nobody applauds the root system spreading underground. Nobody knows about the nights you couldn't sleep because your mind was rewiring. The mornings you woke up different because something inside you shifted. The moments you stood alone and chose yourself even when it hurt, that's where the real work happens. Not on the stage, not in the spotlight, not in the applause, in the silence, in the unseen, in the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming. You've been waiting for a sign, but the sign is already here. It's the discomfort you feel, the restlessness, the knowing that something has to change. That's not anxiety. That's awakening. That's your soul outgrowing the container you've been trying to keep it in. You can't fit a lion in a bird cage and expect it to stay calm. You can't plant an oak seed and expect it to stay small. You can't carry greatness inside you and live a mediocre life without consequence. The consequence is the tension you feel. The consequence is the dissatisfaction. The consequence is the voice that won't shut up no matter how much you distract yourself. That voice isn't torturing you. It's calling you. And it's time to answer. Think about the seed again. When it's planted, it's surrounded by darkness, buried, covered, alone. If that seed could think, it would panic, it would question, it would wonder if it made a mistake, trusting the process. But the seed doesn't resist the darkness. It uses it. The darkness isn't its enemy. The darkness is its catalyst. Because in the darkness, the seed doesn't have to perform, doesn't have to prove anything, doesn't have to look like it's making progress. It just has to surrender to the process. It breaks open, it dies to what it was so it can become what it's meant to be. And the breaking is painful, the dying is lonely, but the becoming is unstoppable. You're in the breaking right now, and you think something's wrong with you because it hurts. You think you should be further along. You think everyone else has it figured out and you're the only one still struggling, but look around. The people who look the most put together are often the most broken inside. The ones with the biggest smiles are fighting the biggest battles. The ones posting the highlight reels are crying behind the scenes. Everyone is breaking in some way. Everyone is being pressed. Everyone is in their own darkness. The difference is whether you let the darkness break you down or build you up. Whether you let the pressure crush you or form you. There's a story about a man who found a cocoon. He watched it for days, fascinated by the struggle inside. He saw the butterfly pushing, fighting, trying to break free. And because he was compassionate, he decided to help. He carefully cut open the cocoon, giving the butterfly an easy exit. The butterfly emerged, but its wings were shriveled, weak. It couldn't fly. It fell to the ground and died shortly after. The man didn't realize that the struggle to break free from the cocoon is what forces fluid into the butterfly's wings. The pressure is what makes it strong. The fight is what prepares it to fly. By removing the struggle, he removed the strength. You're in the cocoon, and you keep asking God, the universe, life, to cut you out, to make it easier, to remove the struggle. But the struggle is not your obstacle. The struggle is your training. The pressure is not your problem. The pressure is your promotion. Every time you want to quit, you are one push away from breakthrough. Every time you think you can't take any more, you are being prepared for something that requires exactly this level of strength. Don't ask for the easy way out. Ask for the endurance to make it through. Because on the other side of this, you won't just be free. You'll be ready. You'll be powerful. You'll be everything this season was designed to make you. Stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop judging your process by their product. You don't know what they went through to get where they are. You don't know how many times they failed in private before they succeeded in public. You don't know the cost they paid, the nights they cried, the times they almost gave up. You only see the result. But the result is not the whole story. And your result is coming, but not on their timeline. On yours. Not in their way. In yours. Not for their reasons. For yours. Your journey is custom, unique, specifically designed for who you're becoming. So stop rushing it. Stop forcing it. Stop trying to skip steps. Every step matters. Every lesson counts. Every delay has a purpose. The craftsman sharpening the blade doesn't rush. He knows that sharpness is not about speed. It's about precision. It's about angle, pressure, repetition. 1 degree off and the blade dulls faster. Too much pressure and it chips. Too little and it stays blunt. So he works slowly, carefully, intentionally. And while he's sharpening, the blade is not cutting, is not productive by external standards. But the craftsman knows that a sharp blade wielded once is more effective than a dull blade swung 1,000 times. So he sharpens and sharpens and sharpens until the edge is so fine it cuts without force. Until the tool is so prepared it makes the work look easy. That's what's happening to you right now. You're being sharpened, and it doesn't feel productive because you're not cutting yet. You're not seeing results yet. You're not moving the way you want to move yet. But don't confuse preparation with stagnation. Don't mistake the sharpening process for wasted time. You are not behind. You're being refined. You're not stuck. You're being strengthened. And when the time comes, when the moment arrives, when the opportunity presents itself, you won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. You won't have to prove anything. You'll just be ready. And your readiness will speak louder than any words ever could. You need to understand something about seasons. Winter is not a mistake. It's not nature failing. It's nature resting, resetting, preparing. The tree that loses its leaves in winter is not dying. It's conserving energy. It's sending nutrients to the roots. It's getting ready for spring. And when spring comes, that same tree will bloom more beautifully than it did the year before. Not despite the winter. Because of the winter, the stripping was necessary. The bareness was required. The silence was strategic. And you're in winter right now. You feel stripped, bare, exposed. But you're not dying. You're preparing. And the spring that's coming for you will be unlike anything you've experienced before. But only if you stop resisting the winter. Only if you stop judging yourself for being in a season that's meant to look like this. Forests grow in silence. You never hear the trees stretching. You never hear the roots deepening. You never hear the ecosystem balancing itself. But go into a forest and tell me it's not alive. Tell me it's not powerful. Tell me it's not thriving. The absence of noise does not mean the absence of growth. The lack of spectators does not mean the lack of progress. You are growing right now, even if no one sees it. You are changing right now, even if no one acknowledges it. You are becoming right now, even if no one celebrates it. And one day, people will walk into the forest of your life and be overwhelmed by what they find. Not because you announced every step, but because you trusted the process, even when it was silent. Here's what you need to do right now. Stop looking for external proof that you're on the right path. Stop needing signs from people who can't see where you're going. Stop asking for validation from voices that don't understand your vision. The proof is internal. It's the peace you feel when you finally make the hard choice. It's the clarity that comes when you stop forcing things. It's the strength you discover when you stand alone and realize you're not as fragile as you thought. That's your confirmation. Not their applause, not their approval, not their agreement, your own knowing, your own conviction, your own unshakable certainty that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do, becoming exactly who you were created to be. You're not lost. You're being led. You're not abandoned. You're being prepared. You're not forgotten. You're being formed. And the year's ending not as a failure, but as a closing chapter. Everything that happened this year, the good and the painful, the victories and the losses, the clarity and the confusion, it was all necessary. It was all preparing you. It was all shaping you. And now you get to decide. Will you carry the lessons into the new year or repeat the cycles? Will you change what needs to change or keep pretending it doesn't matter? Will you become or will you just survive another 12 months? The year is ending, but something else is beginning. Can you feel it? That shift in the atmosphere, that change in your spirit, that knowing that's rising up inside you. You're not the same person you were in January. You've been through too much, learned too much, survived too much, and survival has transformed into something stronger, something wiser, something that refuses to stay small anymore. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. In these final days of this year, you have the power to draw a line in the sand and say, that version of me stays here, that fear stays here, that doubt stays here, That people-pleasing stays here. That hiding stays here. I'm crossing over and I'm not taking the weight with me. Your future self is calling you. Not the version you think you should be, not the version other people want you to be, the real you. The one you've been catching glimpses of in quiet moments. The one who shows up in your dreams and whispers, there's more. There's so much more. That version of you is not someday. That version of you is now, waiting for you to stop hesitating. Waiting for you to stop negotiating. Waiting for you to stop making excuses for why you can't step into who you already are. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You don't need more confidence. You just need to decide. And the decision will create everything else. Everything you've been through was preparing you for what's next. Every rejection taught you discernment. Every disappointment taught you resilience. Every moment of loneliness taught you self-sufficiency. Every season of silence taught you to hear your own voice. Every wound that tried to break you actually broke off what didn't belong. The people who left made room for the right ones. The doors that closed protected you from wrong paths. The delays positioned you for perfect timing. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. It was all building toward this. Toward the person you're becoming. Toward the life you're about to step into. Toward the purpose that's been waiting for you to be ready. You are ready. You don't feel ready, but you are. Readiness is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of courage despite the fear. It's not having all the answers. It's trusting yourself to figure it out. It's not being perfect. It's being willing. And you're willing. I know you are because you're still here. You're still listening. You're still fighting. You're still showing up. Even when it's hard. Even when no one sees. Even when it feels pointless. That's not weakness. That's warrior spirit. That's the kind of strength that kingdoms are built on. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of determination that changes everything. Let me tell you what's about to happen. You're going to wake up one morning in the new year and something will be different. You won't be able to explain it, but you'll feel it. The heaviness that's been sitting on your chest will be gone. The confusion that's been clouding your mind will be clear. The fear that's been controlling your choices will be quiet. And you'll realize that the change you've been begging for didn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happened in 1,000 small decisions. It happened every time you chose yourself. Every time you said no to what wasn't for you. Every time you sat in the silence instead of running from it. Every time you told the truth instead of performing. Every time you rested instead of proving. Every time you trusted instead of forcing. Those moments build the bridge between who you were and who you are, and now you're standing on the other side. But you have to cross. And crossing requires leaving something behind. You can't take everything with you. You can't take the old mindsets, the toxic relationships, the limiting beliefs, the victim mentality, the excuses, the self-sabotage. The year is ending and is giving you permission to let go, to release, to surrender what's been weighing you down. Think of it as a symbolic death. The old you doesn't get to come into the new year. That version served its purpose. It got you through. It kept you alive. But it's not designed for where you're going. Where you're going requires a different version, a braver version, a freer version, a version that's no longer afraid of its own power. 5 things must change before this year ends. Your relationship with silence, your addiction to approval, your definition of progress, your refusal to heal, your source of identity. These are not suggestions. These are requirements. Because if you carry these into the new year, you'll just repeat this year with different dates. Same struggles, same cycles, same frustrations. But if you change them now, if you do the work now, if you make the decision now, everything shifts. The new year won't be about starting over. It'll be about stepping into what you've been building. It'll be about walking in the authority you've been earning. It'll be about living the life you've been preparing for. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. It's December again. You're looking back at this moment, at this message, at this decision, and you're overwhelmed with gratitude because you didn't wait. You didn't postpone. You didn't make excuses. You changed what needed to change. You healed what needed to heal. You became who you were created to be. And now your life reflects it. Your peace reflects it. Your relationships reflect it. Your purpose reflects it. Everything is different because you were willing to be different. That future is available to you, but only if you choose it. Only if you commit to it. Only if you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them. The door is open. It's being opened, but you have to walk through it. No one can push you. No one can carry you. No one can do this for you. This is your moment, your move, your metamorphosis. And it's happening whether you're ready or not. The question is, will you participate or will you resist? Will you partner with the process or fight against it? Will you trust what's unfolding or try to control what's already divinely orchestrated? You've been holding your breath for so long, waiting for permission to exhale. This is it. Breathe, release, let go, step forward. The ground will meet your feet. The path will reveal itself. The strength will rise up, but you have to move. 12 days left in this year. 12 days to rewrite the narrative. 12 days to break the patterns. 12 days to step into alignment. 12 days to become who you've been avoiding. It's not too late. It's actually perfect timing. Because everything you've experienced this year has prepared you for this ending. And this ending is not really an ending at all. It's a beginning disguised as a conclusion. It's a resurrection disguised as a burial. It's a birth disguised as a death. The caterpillar doesn't know it's about to fly. It just knows it can't stay in the cocoon anymore. And you can't stay where you are anymore. You've outgrown it. Outgrown the smallness, outgrown the safety, outgrown the version of life that required you to shrink. You expanding, and expansion is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's beautiful. It's exactly what's supposed to happen. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to finish this year strong. Not perfect, strong. You're going to stop apologizing for taking up space. You're going to stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You're going to stop waiting for permission that's never coming. You're going to heal the wounds. Face the fears, release the dead weight, reclaim your identity, rediscover your voice, and step into the new year as the person you were always meant to be. Not a copy, not a performance, not a people pleaser. The real, raw, powerful, purpose version of you that's been waiting in the wings for your whole life. This is your cue. This is your entrance. This is your time. If this message spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. And if you want more messages that grow your soul, subscribe, because your journey has just begun. The best is not behind you. The best is ahead of you. And you're about to walk into it. Not someday. Now.